get the ones up on top, and I'll come down further along by the wool shed.
Fraser is now doing most of the farming, taking over from Warwick.
I've had nearly 42 years of around this country. It's good that Fraser's come home, someone younger, to ease my load a bit. Fraser's leasing two-thirds of the farm. I've got my third, so mostly we do our own thing and we help each other at times when needed. I've got the gold card, so make my life a little bit easier, not having to worry about the whole of the farm anymore.
Fraser's come home after years away at university and shepherding. At just 24 years of age, he's taking on a big responsibility.
Okay, Flo. I've always wanted to be a farmer, so I suppose working for other people and learning different ways of doing things and experience is a big thing, and probably seemed quite early to be coming home, but I got given an opportunity that was too good to pass up. I've always been looking for ways to get ahead, and Dad's always been real helpful with giving us opportunities. And my first boss said to me, the sooner you get a mortgage, the sooner you'll stop spending money on things you don't need. Gets you out of bed in the morning and gives you a purpose, really. Succession can be tough, but I suppose it doesn't have to be tough. We just try and do what works, and if it's not working, change something, and yeah, it just seems to get along well, and it all seems to be working so far. It's good having Mum and Dad up here, especially when I'm heading away doing things in the weekends and keep an eye on everything. And as Dad wants to, he can have less and less and give me more and more, just depending, whatever. Look out, Choot!
In the yards, Fraser has another couple of helping hands. His girlfriend Jamie and his mother Jane.
Look out, Rick!
That's hard work.
When Jane first came to this remote spot more than 30 years ago, she was less than impressed.
I actually didn't like it for a start. It was cold, windy. I came here in 1982. We had the worst drought you'd ever imagine. There was never any sun. It was freezing cold wind. And I went around pulling lambs out of the creek, thinking, oh, I want to live up here. What possessed someone to live here? But now, you'd never get me away from here. Warwick talks about selling this place, and I go, oh. I like the drama of it all.
Ready?
And they're enjoying a summer like few others, an ideal mix of rain and sunshine.
Clean! The ewes are looking exceptionally well this year, actually. They've had plenty of feed. Meant to be an El Nino, but it just keeps raining, so the ewes have had plenty of tucker, and the more grass they have, the more wool they grow. The price is better than it's been in the past, but it's still pretty mediocre. It's actually come back a bit this last month, but yeah, still more than covers the cost of shearing, which is always good. They're called a Romdale, a cross between a Romney and a Perrindale. It's just a breed that's been developed to suit this country, and when you mix the two together, you sort of get a free-moving sheep that's hardy and grows good wool. It's something my father and grandfather have bred for years.
The other major development in Fraser's life is teaming up with Jamie Humphreys. They met in Gisborne, and she lives in nearby Ngātapa.
The support of Jamie's huge. Having her travel nearly an hour 3 or 4 times a week, not every girl would be able to drag way up here in the middle of nowhere, but having her enjoying the rural side of it and the horses makes my life a hell of a lot easier, yeah. A very good thing. I don't have to go to town every weekend to try and find a missus.
And Fraser's glad of the help in managing the first stock he's bought for his part of the farm. Not his favourite animals, but they're all he can afford.
They've got bulls sort of in mobs of sort of 30 to 40 round about, sort of try to keep the mobs not too big because they fight so much and wreck fences and stuff, but try not to have bulls across the fence from each other either, so try and keep them rotating around paddocks and keeping them away from each other. And yeah, they're not the easiest animals to handle, and a lot of people don't like them, but starting out, you know, when you go to buy cattle and they're the cheapest to buy and still make a good margin out of them, you tend to put up with a lot of that. suppose I'm just trying to find my feet really and sort out my own operation, and they were something to start with. They were successful.
Oh, a lot better than sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, I go.
Fraser's father, Warwick, is a traditionalist who in recent years has taken an alternative path. He says his wife Jane has encouraged him to take a greener approach.
Well, I go. Well, I go. The last few years we've been trying to biologically farm, and it's been quite interesting, the completely different concept of biological farming with long grass, having a very big mob of cattle on a very small area and shifting them nearly every day, and they don't come back to graze that area for as long a time as possible. It's been difficult to do it on this type of land, this light pumicy soil. I wouldn't say it's been successful yet, but I'm still hopeful that it can be successful. What do you reckon, Rose? We'll get 10 good ones out of here?
Yeah, I think so.
I think we will. Leasing 2/3 of the farm to Fraser, it's given us more chance to concentrate more on the intensity of the biological farming.
Yeah, maybe that one over there, what do you reckon?
With the help of daughter Rose, the family markets their biologically raised lamb as premium meat.
That's about it, isn't it? But I think you should get 10 good sheep there that'll be 19 or 20 k's hanging up, and they should be good for your clients, Rose.
Yeah, so they'll all be about the same this time, do you think?
I think they'll be pretty even. They're nice fat lambs. Yep, they should be excellent.
Mum and Dad were putting a lot of effort and time into biological farming, and I just really wanted to try and tap into a market that appreciated, good quality meat that you could sell straight from the farmer to the consumer. I can say that Dad doesn't use Roundup. That drench is only done when it has to be done.
What do you want to put on?
Should we do the roast, the legs and the bottom? This is a gourmet, so we'll put
Where's it going? Where's this one going?
This one's going to Hawke's Bay.
Their eco lamb has a small but loyal following.
Almost everyone I've sold it to says it's some of the best lamb they've ever had. So we really focus on hanging it for a good amount of time before the butcher cuts it up once it comes from the works. And it makes a real difference. And, it's not just like we sell something and post it out. You have to be in touch. Okay, so we're going to send it to this address. Are you going to be home because it's fresh meat? So it is quite labour intensive. So it is a bit of a labour of love. But there's potential there.
Over. Stand back.
And Fraser's developing another income stream, mustering wild goats. On Ariel Station in the backcountry north of Gisborne, the Tomblesons use horses for work and pleasure.
When the kids were little, we used to go on Sunday rides and go take a picnic and saddlebags and go for a ride out through the neighbours up into the bush, and have done it since, we've always done it since the kids were, as they grew up. Come on, John, keep up.
Warwick Tombleson's been on horseback since he was a boy.
We used to ride 12 miles to Pony Club and home again down to Tolaga Bay, not quite Tolaga Bay, and it just progressed from there. And my father was a very keen horseman, and he helped us along the way, going to country sports and things when we got big enough.
It's a unique setting for his son Fraser to train in. He rides competitively.
Well, I suppose it's been a pretty cool place to be brought up. Your horse is out and about jumping logs like this. When you're training them, if they can jump these, there's not a lot they can't jump, I suppose. Just no restrictions, really.
In the early days, a lot of these big trees were burnt standing, with fires coming through accidentally a lot of times, with sparkers, birch sparks going, and fires started by mistake, and lightning setting away logs, and a lot of these huge trees were just burnt standing, and over the years they've all fallen over, and there's no better way to teach a horse to jump than jumping a log. It's just so natural.
If they hit them, they know about it, so they tend to pick their feet up next time around. But yeah, it's pretty daunting. You go into a log and then suddenly there's another log behind that log and they fly over it, but it's good for the young horses. The sheer physical nature of jumping them, it's a really awesome feeling. especially ones that really jump out of their skin, and the competitiveness, I suppose. I enjoy that. This horse has just come in this season. It's going really well, actually. It's a bit of a freak jumper, really. It's just Dad's breeding, I suppose, is pays off.
No, I think that horse is a very, very likely horse. Probably the most promising young horse we've ever had.
This summer, Fraser rode at the Wairoa A&P show. He won 2 sections and went on to win the title for 6-year-olds at the Horse of the Year show in Hawke's Bay.
I'm loving the competing, yeah. Well, I did it so much growing up, I never used to get nervous, but I get nervous again now, which makes it a bit more exciting, I suppose. Yeah, it's always good to go out and try your hand against all the others.
That was good, Bruce.
That's all right, eh?
Where they ride is one of the highest points on the farm, 1,000 metres above sea level, an ideal site for the telecommunications industry.
Telecom put that one up, or they put it up in the days when it was post office. So they put this good road all the way up, and they built this communication tower, and one looks at right over at the Waimata, and the other one looks at Kaiti Hill in Gisborne. So it's all communications. We're so high and can see so far in every direction. Whenever you come up here, you always see something different depending on where the sun's shining. You see things you haven't seen before, and yeah, there's a lot of days you wouldn't want to be up here. This year we would have had as good a dumping of snow as we've ever had. And when it's snowing and blowing and raining, you're trying to muster and you're hiding behind a stump, and yeah, it's not a good place to be.
There's one hardy creature that thrives here, and it provides Fraser and his mate Henry Gaddam with recreation and extra money.
Quiet tune! Quiet tune! They range from sort of $25 to $45 a head at the works. We sort of muster anywhere from 50 to 1,200 goats in a weekend, and the farmer takes 50% of that, and the musterers split the rest. The goats on this property are not a huge problem, don't have big numbers, sort of mobs of 20 or 30. Mum does get annoyed that they're eating her trees and we're always off mustering someone else's goats, but we sort of head down the line a bit, and they've got a lot more goats and it just seems more worthwhile.
Get in, Gus!
When we can, we get out and hook into them. They're pretty elusive, the goats around here, being chased a lot by the shepherds over the years, so yeah, they get cunning. There's always one. There's normally a cunning nanny, in this case a couple of cunning billies, but they really test your patience and your dogs.
Get in, Gus!
Normally you start letting 1 or 2 go, and then 10 go, and then suddenly you've lost 100, so we do our best to try and get them all.
Chicken, lucky I had you here.
You never can get them all. You battle them right to the end, and you haven't got them until the back door of that truck closes, really.
And another door's opening on this farm to walkers. It's remote country inland from Gisborne that's being opened up to others. The Tombulsons bought Haurata Station next door to their own farm in 2008, and Jane Tombulson thought it might be a great place for walkers.
Off we go, girls, come on!
It's a business she had to feel her way into, every step of the way.
How far does one walk in a day? How far can you walk in a day? Just get my friend to come. We all went walking. They've never forgiven me. Walked for 8.5 hours. I think we walked about 24 kilometres. Nearly killed us all. They said, you can't do that, Jane, that's ridiculous. So I made 2 walks, cut it to 4 hours each, and then set about marking them. That's all been trial and error, and started off with 2, and then the neighbours let me do the Ngāta Pa site, so that was 3. And another neighbour, we cut through his place to get to the highest point. Then I thought we should do one down the river, because it's quite a difficult river to walk down, but it's quite cool. So we've got 4 long walks, and some of them can be cut down to short walks. And the more people go, wow, the more I think, yes, I'm doing the right thing here. This is the right thing. Even though we're not connected to anything. We're in the middle of nowhere. We're not close to any other tourist operator around. We're nothing to do with the cycle trails, nothing to do with the beach.
There's not just scenery to take in, but the area's bloody and colourful colonial history. A par site of the 19th century warrior and prophet Te Kooti is on a neighbour's property.
So when Te Kooti escaped, did he come up and go off the top of the cliff?
Yeah, the par site's right at the top there, and then they escaped down the cliffs on this side in the night.
Line,
steep bit,
yes,
yeah, where that line is. They escaped down there, and because they didn't have anyone guarding down there, because they had people all guarding the other side, because it's easier to get down on the other side, and that's how they got away.
Careful, girls, we don't want anyone falling over the cliff.
There's been a mighty uplift. The fault line goes through the area, across the aerial range, so where it's uplifted you have all the cliffs and the rocks, and well, that's what gives it the drama. If you walk down the creeks, it's the size of the rocks that have fallen off the hills and rolled down at the creeks. It's spooky. It's just fun meeting people, and rather than me having to drive somewhere to talk to people, I'm meeting all sorts of people. Especially privileged, and people that come through my life now, especially the woofers and some of the interesting people I have here. You just meet some really, really nice, interesting people.
And this is in your backyard.
Exactly.
Yeah, it
where
is.
you live.
Yeah, I know. Amazing,
And
isn't
if it was a nice day, we could have got in underneath the waterfall, couldn't we? Stood on the ledge.
And a nice swim.
Yeah.
Exactly. Sort of gradually building up as more and more walkers find out about it.
Part of the tourist operation is Warwick Tomlinson's vintage Model A Ford. A car his father bought for him as a 15-year-old for £75.
The spark could be a little bit retarded, but it's going pretty sweet, really. User-friendly in those days, and didn't need any computer to find out what was wrong. A crescent and a hammer, you could fix most things. So it's a 1929 model, and I've had it for 50 years. And the kids have all learned to drive in it, so it hasn't been one of those things where no one's allowed to touch it, because they've all had fun in it and they've learnt to drive and they've blattered around in it. Sometimes the odd tourist's a bit tired when they've done the red walk over the top and end up at home, and it's a long way home around the road. We'll give them a ride.
For the Tomlinson